All right, welcome back. It's another spooky weekend. Today we're all the way up north in Plattsburgh, New York. And where are we going today?
Today we are going to Hartwell House. It is a big, spooky old house that was built in the late 1800s. It's got a tower. It's got almost 10,000 square feet of potentially haunted spaces.
I just had a cold spirit go through me.
I said, before we got here, I said because this is a couple hours away from where we were, I said if we get here and there's not a ghost, I'm going to be so mad. But also, if we see a ghost tonight, I'm going to be so mad.
Oh, I came up here to find something.
I know.
Something haunted anyway.
I know. I'm excited. I got really excited when we saw the pictures of some of the rooms in the house because it looks amazing. But then I was trying to look up a little bit more about the house, and there really was not. And when I say I tried, I spent like 45 seconds. There wasn't a lot that I found immediately, but there were pictures of the whole inside, and it's like this beautiful old like hallways and living rooms, and then like a totally normal kitchen that was remodeled in the 80s.
And they're trying to sell it.
Who's
going to buy a haunted house?
I thought about it. And then I saw the price tag and I said, well, it's not going to be us.
This is just like the TV show Ghosts.
Oh my goodness, yes.
All right, let's go check it out.
All right, I can't wait.
All right.
Ooh. So should I get the number in case anybody's interested? Whoops, my umbrella string. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Oh, look at the stained glass.
It's like a church.
It does. I mean, these windows are... Oh, look. Spooky ghost children. That actually is a little creepy. So I did read that it has 4 bedrooms, but then 10 bunk rooms. It has like 2 kitchens, a kitchenette, 3 living rooms, another living room, 3 or 4 unfinished rooms in the basement. It has a tower, 7 bathrooms. I can't imagine cleaning.
I know.
This is pretty incredible. We're just creeping around the outside because our thing doesn't start until 9. So we're a little bit early. I see something's been eating this pumpkin.
Oh, yeah.
Was it a ghost? Was it a ghoul?
We'll never know. Maybe we'll catch it later.
Ooh.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
You coming in?
Did you come around from the back?
We did.
Come on.
Oh, okay. We thought the 8 o'clock was still here.
They're wrapping up, but you can come on in.
Oh, okay.
And we'll wait in the room until they're finished.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Did you get a look at the stained glass?
Yeah, was this an old church or something? Kind of looks like a church. Yeah.
But that's not where the stained glass came from.
Oh, really?
Predates the church owning the property.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
They were just
They use
very,
that as their chapel, actually.
very much like the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Like-
That's some wallpaper already.
So this is so much like the wallpaper at Pete's house. It totally is in the front bedroom.
Yeah.
This is really cool. Some really tall windows.
Lower the ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's another metal thing in there. Right there.
Nice tall radiator.
Those are the pictures.
Yeah. Hera and Zeus. a blood stain. It's spooky that the clock struck.
9 o'clock. See if we pick up any EMF waves.
You've been watching too much Ghost Hunters.
Tonight's tour is going to take us through all 4 floors of the house. I present to you this evening, tonight's tour, The Haunting of Hartwell House. Look at this. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'd like to welcome you to the ballroom here at the Hartwell Mansion. What a magnificent location to start the beginning of tonight's tour. Now, our tour tonight is going to have a couple of different themes. As we make our way through the house, we're going to talk about the mansion's history, a little bit about how it came to be. We're going to talk about the unusual characters that once called this place home. And once we get up to the 3rd floor, we're going to discuss some of the paranormal phenomena that has been rumored to exist here over the years. But the main theme tonight, obviously, is going to be a haunted house. Now, our story begins tonight with a man by the name of William Wallace Hartwell. William Hartwell was the original owner of this house. Now, most locals remember this more as something called the Regina Maria Retreat House. For many years, it was a home for Roman Catholic nuns. Well, what blows people's minds, though, is when you kind of remind them that this was originally built as a single-family home for a couple with 1 child. I mean, come on, right? He was a millionaire by his own hand. And when it came time to build his house, he kind of wanted to impress a little bit. William Hartwell buys up an entire city block to build his house on. As a centerpiece, he raises this magnificent Victorian mansion, stone by stone, brick by brick it grew, all made of locally quarried limestone that comes from a quarry on Boynton Avenue. It took 5 years to build this house. Now, we always start in this room because during the period of time that the Hartwells called this place home, this room in particular was the scene of both triumph and tragedy. William Hartwell and his wife Maria originally had 5 children, 5 kids. By the time they moved into this house in 1873, only 1 remained. They lost 4 kids that they buried, all before the age of 10. The only survivor was their middle child, a little girl, a daughter by the name of Chastine Hartwell. They called her Chatty for short. And Chatty Hartwell grew up in this house all by herself. And her father, Mr. Hartwell, as he's getting elderly, he's not in very good health anymore. We think he was suffering from cancer towards the end. Mr. Hartwell took sick suddenly in his room upstairs here at the mansion and was confined to his bedchamber on the 2nd floor for the last 3 weeks of his life as he lay up there dying. He passed just before Christmas of 1891, and his funeral was held in this very room.
Update. No change.
Perhaps we can frighten away the ghosts of so many years ago with a little illumination. Here we are. Welcome to the dining room here at the Hartwell Mansion. This is where the Hartwells and the Skylers after them would have taken their meals each and every day. I say taken their meals because, well, I mean, these people weren't cooking anything. When this house was first finished, the ceiling in here was entirely hand-painted with scenes from Greek mythology. Can you imagine? Must have been like the Sistine Chapel or something. At one point, somebody had the great idea, let's paint over that. Also, you might have noticed the size of the doors in this house. I mean, there's not too many places in Plattsburgh that can accommodate a hat like this. And this is one of the few. But I'm talking about the thickness. I mean, there's no veneers anywhere in this place. These are solid Adirondack black walnut. Mr. Hartwell was a lumber baron. So he went out and I'm sure hand-selected only the finest old-growth trees to be sawn for the lumber for his house. We believe that the wood in these doors, somewhere on the order of about 400 years old. In the black frames at either end, these are engravings that show what the property looked like in 1880. Hasn't changed a whole lot. It's like it's frozen in time right here in our own backyard. Finally, what do we have here in the center? These shards of broken glass. One of the spectacular features of the house that you're going to see tonight, when we go up the grand staircase to the 3rd floor, crowning the top of the stairwell is a magnificent stained glass skylight that lets the sunshine into the stairway. These are the surviving original pieces of that 19th century window, but those are not stained glass. That is hand-painted glass. Now, last but not least, what on earth do we have here on the platter? Well, that's your dinner. No, that is Chastine Hartwell's shoes. And it revealed that you could still see where it said Chanel and Company, Paris. So if any of you guys hear any thumping footsteps throughout the course of our tour tonight, maybe that's her searching for her long-lost footwear, right? Well, here we are, folks. This is a room that would have been once known as the gentleman's parlor, or the smoking room. This was where, after a fine meal, William Hartwell would have imbibed with cigars and brandy after dinner. We always pause here in this particular room because, well, this is where our story begins to take on a bit of a darker turn. When he was in his bottle, Dr. Skyler was even less pleasant of an individual than what he was before. And you can kind of read between the lines. I mean, they didn't talk about such things then, but clearly there was some measure of abuse going on. Chastine, she was an only child from a wealthy family. She wasn't going to put up with any of that. Very first thing she does, once she inherits daddy's millions, well, she lived here in the main house. She has a second house constructed over here at the corner of the property just for her husband to live in. Get out of here. We call that the doghouse. It's still over there at the corner of the lot, right? And he's banished. And he lives over there, and she lives over here, and never the two did meet. Chastine has to put up with this guy for 16 years. Can you imagine? Luckily for her, though, it wouldn't be forever. She gets a bit of a reprieve. In 1905, Dr. Skyler drinks himself to death. Chastine's a widow, 43. What's she gonna do now? Well, she's finally, after all this time, able to get into her husband's safe and check out all these books that he's kept hidden from her for all this time, and she's horrified by what she finds. We are bankrupt. It's all just smoke and mirrors. So, what is she going to do? Husband number 2. She's got to go shopping for a new husband, of course. So she marries into the Rogers family, marries a guy named Walter Rogers in 1909, and the money flows once again. Now we're going to continue on with their tragic saga, but we're going to remove ourselves to the 2nd floor. Our next location, we're going to pay a visit to Mrs. Hartwell's bedroom. We're going to go right up the grand staircase.
Wow, you could just tip right over that.
Yeah, well, you'd only do it once. And right this way. It's easy to get lost in here. Hang on.
How's it looking?
No change. Anything above 60 or below 30.
Okay.
We're at 50.
Welcome to Mrs. Hartwell's bedchamber. This room was once occupied by the lady of the household, Mrs. Maria McLean Hartwell. Now, a couple of interesting features I'd like to point out about this room. Obviously, the focal point, the beautiful fireplace. Originally, this house had 9 fireplaces to keep it warm during the cold winter months, which I'm sure we all know all about. This one is made out of one solid block of white marble. It's completely hand carved. The mantelpiece is a piece of slate, along with the hearth down by your feet, which is also slate. Pretty impressive craftsmanship, to say the least. This was Mrs. Hartwell's domain. This was her little kingdom in here, not her husband's. William Hartwell didn't live in here. He lived in a separate bedchamber, which would have been connected through this small passageway. It would not have been proper for the husband and wife of the household to share a bedroom, let alone a bed. A bed, that would have been scandalous beyond imagination, right? And we're going to scooch through the passageway, and we're going to check out Mr. Hartwell's living quarters.
There you go.
Looking back then, they got one.
Welcome to the master bedroom. It's This is where the master of the household, Mr. William Wallace Hartwell, once resided. Many of the main windows of the house are all equipped with these incredible folding shutters. They fold right up into the window frame, and they're made out of solid ash with brass hardware. And once they're locked in place, they operate just like a modern Venetian blind. All handcrafted, I mean, it's just incredible. So every so often, I'll get the opportunity to speak to a person who claims to be a little more in tune with the paranormal, a little more sensitive, if you will. Last October, we had one such individual came through the house. And I noticed at the time that he seemed to be just taking it all in, really looking into every little nook and cranny. And when we came into this room, he was particularly attentive. Before I'd even finished the story, he claimed that when we came into this particular room, that he was getting the very distinct impression that Mr. Hartwell's deathbed once sat right here. So on that note, we're going to venture on up to the 3rd floor, because the 3rd floor is where it lives. It's where it's always lived. Right this way.
Watch it jump up. Maybe it will.
I mean, if I had the money, I'd want to buy this house.
It cut you right.
Right up here.
Right here, we were turning off to shut the lights, and I was standing right here, looking over there.
Yeah.
There was just something standing right there, about halfway through the door.
Really?
And I just went behind it. You want to go up?
That's spooky.
Throughout much of the Hartwell house's existence, this particular floor has always been rumored to be the epicenter of the paranormal activity here at the mansion. And, well, the sisters, if you got chatting with one of them, and they opened up to you a little bit, they might even grudgingly reveal, maybe there is a little something with that house. Kind of weird when you hear that coming from a nun. And they believe that, aside from the fact that they had a bit of a house guest, they even thought that they knew who it was. Strange. They believed that the house was inhabited, not haunted, inhabited, by the spirit of Chastine Hartwell herself. They said that whatever it was here on the 3rd floor was always very quiet, very respectful, very much kept to itself, except on occasions when a man would come into the house. It was only men, it seemed, that maybe put out a certain energy, somebody that maybe reminded her of a little someone from her past that treated her wrongly. And when one such individual would come in, they said all of a sudden you'd hear all this racket coming from the 3rd floor. You'd hear stomps and bangs and doors rattling in the door jambs, echoing down the stairwell. And they'd say, oh, well, Chastine's at it again. I always like to share first-hand accounts on our tours, stories that are told to me by people that say, this is where I was standing, and this is what I saw with my own eyes. This next story, told to me by Mrs. Bedrogi herself. So she said that for years they had run an ad in the local newspaper looking for tenants, people to rent the extra rooms. For a room to rent, he was not from here though, he was in Plattsburgh on business. And he said, I don't need much, I just need a place to hang my hat, I'm going to be working long hours, I'm doing consulting work for one of the local factories, and he said, I'm going to be exhausted. So he even went to the trouble of asking, is it quiet? Are there any little kids running around? She said, no, it's very peaceful. In fact, we'll even put you up on the 3rd floor. There's nobody up there right now. So they showed him a small bedroom that's right on the other side of this wall. Later on that week, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and just like he had anticipated, he ended up working late into the evening one night, and he comes back to the house, it's all darkened, everybody's gone to sleep, and so he lets himself in with his own key and kind of makes his way through the house, finally reaches his bedroom up here, and he's desperate to just lay down and crash, and is just getting ready to turn into bed, when all of a sudden, out of the blue, he hears on the door. Just, what the? He kind of, took him by surprise. He cracks open the door, looks into the hallway. The house is dark. The house is empty. He said, what is going on here? A few minutes pass by, and once again, on the door. And he said, what the? He says, I know I heard it that time. So he hesitantly kind of creaks open the door again. Okay, I know what this is. Somebody's messing with the new guy. It's gotta be, you know? Somebody's playing a joke on me here. So he said he poised himself right behind the door with his hand just over the doorknob, trembling as the seconds ticked by until finally, once again, on the door. He throws it open quick as a flash, sticks his head out into the hallway, just in time. Just in time to see. Comes out here into the hallway. The house is dark. The house is empty. The house today, if you could do it for $10 million, if you try. Between the craftsmanship, the stone, the woodwork, and
Oh, you guys still have to go up?
Yeah.
before you
I'm sorry. I thought,
that's okay.
I thought we were done. I was shutting everything up.
every single one.
Down on the sidewalk watching.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you like the back stairs?
If you want to give them away, if they wave back.
Oh, yeah.
But they've gotten a lot of waves, so it might be a little weird.
This is pretty cool.
This is the room right here. Walking up, it went to 55.
Did it? It's really cool.
It'd be nice to see in the daytime.
Yeah.
I know how to say hi in Morse code.
Don't do it.
If you have a tour on your house, that's just kind of a sign that you're rich.
Whatever became of Chastine Hartwell? What happened to her in the end? Chastine was a sharp cookie. Maybe she took after her dad a little bit. Or maybe, being an only child, she had a little bit of a mischievous side. Who knows? In any case, she had pulled a bit of a fast one when she sold the house. She had included a bit of fine print into the deed, into the bill of sale, that nobody noticed until it was altogether too late, until they'd already signed on the dotted line. Chastine included a clause in there that basically said, whosoever shall buy this house, I still get to live here for the rest of my days. Chastine and Walt reserved the right to use a suite of rooms here at the mansion in perpetuity. In 1923, Walt and Chastine set off from Los Sable, came to the mansion and checked in with the sisters. They were shown to their rooms, nothing altogether out of the ordinary as they had before. And Chastine seemed to be in fine spirits. It was almost like coming home for her, I'm sure. At some point that evening, in the dark watches of the night, Chastine's heart stopped. She died in her sleep of heart failure here in the mansion where she had lived for over 40 years of her life that she didn't even own anymore. What are the chances of that? So in 1923, Walt takes the last of the Hartwell family fortune and commissions all of the magnificent stained glass windows that were installed in the former ballroom. Thus ends the strange and unusual tale of the haunting of Hartwell House.
That was really fun.
Yeah, it was.
That was really fun. No ghosts.
No ghost. My meter only went up to
No.
55 going up the stairway
To the tower.
to the tower. Other than
Yeah.
that, it was in the 40s the whole time.
Yeah.
But it did spike up at like 55, 56 going up to the tower.
Yeah. So maybe no ghosts tonight, but we found some really cool history about this house. Really interesting family. Beautiful house.
Yep, a lot of good stories.
Yeah. $700,000 if you want to buy it.
For sale today.
That's right. And we did hear a rumor that if your house has a tower, you are a rich person. So,
Might be sold today.
It could be. But definitely highly recommend. I don't know if it sells, if they're still going to be able to do these tours.
Yeah,
But
this may be the last year.
yeah, this was a lot of fun. The Great Adirondack Ghost Tour.
Yep, come on down to Plattsburgh, New York. Check
Worth
it
the
out.
trip. Worth the trip for
Yeah.
sure. All right,
Anything
we've got
else?
a long drive ahead of
Yeah.
us.
and a dark and scary night.
That's right. Hopefully we don't see any. Hopefully we don't become ghosts tonight.
I hope not.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Make
Yeah.
sure to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you on the trails.